When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
At Sierra, discover great deals on top brand workout gear, like high-quality walking shoes, which might lead to another discovery.
40,000 steps, baby. Who's on top now, Karen?
You've taken the office step challenge a step too far. Don't worry, though. Sierra also has yoga gear. It might be a good place to find your zen. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This is Optimal Living Daily, an excerpt from the book The Compass Within by Robert Glazer, and I'm Justin Malik. Welcome to Optimal Living Daily, or the OLD podcast, where I read to you from some of the best articles I can find and get permission from, but today featuring a book excerpt. And I'll keep the intro short, tell you about the author right after the reading. So for now, let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. An excerpt from the book, The Compass Within by Robert Glazer. Leading with values. At some point when I was leading a larger team for the first time, I realized that my leadership style wasn't genuine. Like a lot of new managers, I emulated many of the best practices modeled by the finest leaders I'd previously worked for or studied. I was also trying to do the exact opposite of what some of the worst leaders I had the misfortune to work with had done. Some of these practices worked for me, some did not. Some felt entirely unnatural. My leadership style was a patchwork quilt rather than something cohesive and authentic. I remember one specific instance when people on my team had partied way too hard at an industry conference, leaving them unable to function properly the next day. Knowing I needed to address the issue, I sought the advice of another colleague at the same conference and adapted the iron-fisted approach he advocated. Ultimately, that solution did not sit well with me. Right away, I felt like I was running someone else's playbook. That was a wake-up call. But while I had identified the problem, I wasn't sure how to fix it. There's not really an established route to finding your authentic leadership style, which may be why so few people ever do. I was lucky enough to receive support that guided my first steps down this path. In 2013, I attended a small, immersive global leadership training program for around 20 up-and-coming leaders run by Entrepreneurs Organization in Washington, D.C. This program became the impetus for my own core values journey. To my surprise, the first few days of the program were not focused on the externally facing leadership skills I was expecting to learn, things like public speaking, running meetings, and setting strategies. Instead, we were pushed to reflect on our own personal principles and determine how they shape and define us as leaders. The program sparked the realization that I had strong core values that served as guideposts in my life and work, although at the time, I was unable to articulate them clearly. Upon returning home, I spent the next 6 months working to develop a clear, refined list of values without the benefit of a guide to follow. During this research process, most of the material I came across consisted of lists of keywords and adjectives that could serve as core values. And this was interesting, but it didn't help me to define whether something really was a value. Scanning a list of keywords and picking out ones that felt right didn't seem like a comprehensive process that would produce an actionable outcome. Eventually, through a great deal of trial and error, I developed a process of my own. Using this process, I created a list of 5 core values and began to refer to them regularly, especially in the areas of decision-making and time commitments. Guided by these values, I started to double down on things and people in my life that served or were aligned to my core values, and simultaneously, I deprioritized commitments and people in my personal and professional life that were clearly not aligned with those values. This included walking away from relationships that no longer made sense for me and probably hadn't for years. As a direct result of this realignment, I finally started to reach what I always knew was my innate potential, not only as a leader, but as a person. A few years back, when I listened to someone reading my bio before I gave a speech to an organization, I noticed for the first time that every accomplishment they listed, the awards, the books, the TEDx talk, all occurred ACVD, after core values discovery. I firmly believe that this type of core value clarity is a necessary foundation of good leadership, and that getting clarity on core values is especially important for leaders. When you don't know or can't articulate what's most important to you, it's hard to show up authentically for your team and hold people accountable. The patchwork quilt approach I described earlier, emulating the best leadership qualities you've seen and avoiding the worst, won't be enough to enable you to fulfill your true potential as a leader. Plus, the people you lead won't have a clear understanding of what you expect of them. In his seminal leadership book, Good to Great, author Jim Collins defined the highest level of leadership, which he referred to as Level 5 leadership. Level 5 leaders are the transcendent individuals who both change the course of their organization and develop the people on their team into great leaders. In my experience, Level 5 leadership can only be built on a foundation of authenticity and self-awareness, a foundation that only comes with a clear understanding of one's core values. Level 5 leaders can articulate what's most important to them and use that clarity to motivate and inspire others. Rather than trying to be the perfect combination of other effective leaders, they consistently show up authentically as themselves. And crucially, Level 5 leaders use this self-awareness of their values to set clear expectations for the people they lead. Their teams know where they stand and what is most important. Here's a real-world example. If a manager knows that one of their core values is build trust, they'll need to make it clear to their employees that seemingly small things like showing up late to meetings, being inaccessible for long stretches of the workday, or missing an occasional deadline may erode trust on a deeper level than they realize. Without this degree of awareness and the capacity to highlight its importance, the manager might not make their expectations clear, and employees may not understand the impact of their actions, leading to avoidable problems and mutual disappointment. I'll also offer a personal example. One of my core values is find a better way and share it. As a result, I'm unwilling to keep to the status quo when it no longer makes sense. I expect people on the teams I lead to strive to improve both themselves and the business. When someone refuses to try something new or look for improvements, especially when things aren't working well, it's just not in my DNA to accept that attitude. Some people flourish under this style of leadership while others do not, and it's crucial for the people I lead to know this about me up front. That clarity is extremely powerful, and it pays dividends for me, the people I lead, and the organization. Defining my personal core values with no roadmap was an arduous process, but ultimately an exceptionally valuable one. Once I had clarity on my values and saw the benefits of that clarity, I became passionate about helping leaders find their own values. I took the self-design process that led me to my own core values and spent years developing it into a teachable curriculum that we made into an integral part of our leadership training at Acceleration Partners. That curriculum is the basis for what you read in this book, along with the process I'll take you through in a moment. You just listened to an excerpt from the book, The Compass Within by Robert Glazer, and I'll be right back with my commentary.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
Finally in your wellness era? Then you know gut health is gut wealth. And with 20 years of science behind it, Activia can help keep those good gut vibes going. Deliciously smooth and creamy, Activia probiotic yogurts and dailies have billions of live and active probiotics and help support gut health while you go about your day. Your gut is where it all begins, so start with Activia. Enjoying Activia twice a day for 2 weeks as part of a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle can help reduce the frequency of minor digestive discomfort.
Thank you to Robert. Left there on a cliffhanger a little bit, but maybe that'll inspire you to check out the book. The full title is The Compass Within, a little story about the values that guide us. He's a #1 Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and international best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, and the founder of Acceleration Partners, which is a $50 million global partner marketing agency known for its award-winning culture. He's also the creator of Friday Forward, which is a weekly newsletter read by over 200,000 professionals in over 60 countries. Visit him online at robertglazer.com. That's Glazer. We've definitely heard about the importance of defining our own personal values on this show. And this, as he showed, can definitely help in business, but also in family life and parenting, discovering what we truly want out of life, relationships, and so much more. When he's talking about fostering an environment where employees look for improvements, I was having flashbacks to a previous job I had where I had made what I thought was a really cool improvement. A bunch of people around the office were asking if they could use that tool. I was excited to share it. But come time for our yearly review, even though I listed that as an accomplishment, it was pretty much ignored, which was really disappointing for me. But hearing it in this context, it kind of makes sense. That's not what the culture was about. And ultimately, one of the reasons why it wasn't the right fit for me. Knowing our values and writing them down can really help us discover what's best for us. And again, not just when we're leading or working for someone else, but in pretty much every aspect of our lives. So thank you to Robert for letting us share an excerpt today. Check out the book, The Compass Within. And again, you can come by robertglazer.com for more. Glazer. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here and listening to me and for subscribing to the show or following. And I'll be back tomorrow as usual, where your optimal life awaits.